We are the light.
We are the light.
We are the light.
We are the light.
Because we are the light.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jen Foster, and I'm the host of We Are the Light podcast. Real people, real stories, illuminating into the light. And today my guest name is Kim Gillespie. Did I say it right?
That's good.
Start over. How do you say it again?
Gillespie.
Say it again?
Gil.
Start over. Okay. Gil, like gills on a fish. Right? Okay. We'll start over. Hi, everybody. My name's Jen Foster, and I'm the host of We Are the Light podcast. Real stories. Oh my gosh. We should do that.
I'm with you on that. I don't.
Okay, and I'm having a hot flash. Hold on.
I'm having one of those too. I'm good.
Oh, let's happen together. Okay, and we could talk about that. It could be open. I just want it to be open and fun. Because you've done so much work to make this fun, if that makes sense. Yeah, okay, we'll start again. Hi, everybody. My name's Jen Foster, and I'm the host of We Are the Light podcast. Real people, real stories, illuminating into the light. And today's guest, I'm so excited to have her on, her name is Kim Gillespie. And I said it right. We practiced before.
Yeah.
So say hi to Kim. Hi, Kim. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. I'm honored.
I'm honored to have you on. And I'm honored that I met you. Kim is a Canadian author. She's sharing her story through her healing journey. She's written a book, and it's called Find the Pearl in Your Pain. I've read the book. It's really good. You can find it. She'll let you know, but I know it's on many different platforms where you can find it. And we can talk about that later, or you can talk about it in a minute. And part of her book is the proceeds from her book is going to Jillian's Place, which is a foundation that is for, is it just women who are being in abusive relationships, or is it women and men?
Right now, it's women, and yeah, I think it's inclusive for everybody that needs help.
Yeah, that's great. I wasn't sure, so that's why I wanted to ask that. And what is your scarf? That looks nice. I really like your scarf.
November actually kicks off the month of bringing about awareness about women's abuse. And so for the month of November, if you see anybody wearing a purple scarf, this one has the Jillian's Place logo. That's just showing your support to people in the community, wherever you go, that you're a supportive member of trying to prevent abuse and violence to women and families in our community.
So that's for Jillian's Place.
Yeah. And you'll see it everywhere. You'll see it in the provincial legislature. You'll see a lot of the politicians wearing them. This year they started with puppy bandanas as well that I got to, because Jillian's Place is going to be inclusive of bringing your pets with you when you leave. So yeah, this is a big month. They even turned Niagara Falls purple on November 1st to kick off the month, or to bring awareness to everybody. So yeah, it's exciting.
I wish I would have saw that. That's kind of cool.
They're selling them. Yeah, Niagara Falls would have been cool. And these scarves are sold in various places. I'm sure any shelter in your area, you can purchase them. I know some local banks or stores sell them. So it goes to a good cause.
So to let people know, because this will be played, people will watch all over the world. We are based in Ontario, which is a province in Canada. So this is happening in Ontario. Do you know, are you guys working on getting this? Is it to go through all of Canada, or is it just going to stay, like, are you trying to work on it to get bigger, or are you just staying in the Niagara region? Everybody in Niagara Falls, I know everybody knows where Niagara Falls is, but there's a county, there's a region that's Niagara. So that's what we're talking about.
Meaning this awareness month, or
Jillian's Place.
Jillian's Place is our local shelter in North End Niagara. There's Birchway and South Niagara. There's shelters all over the place. I'm just personally supportive. I'm supportive of any women's shelter, let's just say that. But I've had personal dealings and help from Jillian's Place myself, as did my mom. So It's very important for me to share the benefits that they provide to a community and the help that's available in case people don't know of what's available, because before events in my life, I didn't know what Jillian's Place was, and I did not know about the services they offered, and it would have been life-changing and potentially life-saving for my mom if we had known more.
Right. And I don't think many people know, right? We know there's shelters, at least I know there's shelters. I don't think, me personally, I don't know what is involved in that because it's not something I've ever had to go through. So what would Jillian's Place offer for women? What are some of the services that people would not think that a shelter would offer for someone who is trying to get out of an abusive relationship?
Okay, and it's also people's vision of what they think a shelter is and what I think my mom thought it was. I was just talking to a lady this morning who would have been around my mom's age. You kind of picture it like just a big room with a bunch of bunk beds, and it's not like that.
Yeah.
If you ever get to have a tour, they've just renovated, and I think a lot of shelters do this. You have your own individual room. There's a common area like a living room for watching movies or television. There's a large kitchen. They have meals prepared, or you could help the ladies in there that are preparing the meals. They have activities for the kids for every holiday, every event. Like I said, they're welcoming pets into the shelter. You can get your hair done there. They're trying to do positive affirmation things. There's a
Wow.
faith room, which would have been very important to my mom, where you can go and practice whatever religion that you would like to participate in. It really is like a home feeling, and just like little things that pull at my heartstrings. You figure when you're picking up your life and you're leaving everything behind, and if you're bringing your children, well, like little things, like when your kids have a birthday party to go to, and you're thinking, what am I going to do? They have a whole room of donated toys, all different ages, where if a child has a birthday party, they can still go. They can go pick out a toy. They'll package it up for them. Like they don't miss out on the things you think your child would have to miss out on by leaving the home. There's counseling 24/7, which you don't have to be a part of the shelter to get counseling, which was very key for me. I think even it would have been awesome for my mom too, because you feel like you're crazy
Yeah.
in that situation. You're told you're being oversensitive, you're overreacting. If even myself as a young adult or in my teens, if I could have talked to somebody to know, yes, this is abuse.
Yeah.
To have that reality and somebody believe you um, is very affirming for the decisions you have to make, because in that home bubble, it's really hard to get out of the mindset of what you've been programmed to believe and accept, and you're just told you're supposed to appreciate everything. And I think places like Jillian's Place are so helpful. So you do not have to stay there. And another key thing, and I know Jillian's Place does this, free legal services, which
Wow.
is key. I think we found out about that after the fact. My mom had already paid a retainer and, scraped to give what she could. I think she had spent 10,000 during her time period. That 10,000 is, you need that for your apartment or where
Right.
you're going to move to and starting over. Like that is amazing. And I personally have used the Marion Wright there, is the lawyer, and she helped my mom, and she talked talked reality to my mom about what was true about the law when she was being told lies and twisting things, that he would take everything and cut her off benefits. Marion was there every step of the way. There's so many services, and it's very welcoming and very home-like. And I also think meeting other people that are in a similar situation to you is also very comforting, and
Yeah.
you're not alone.
And no one knows your story yet. Some people probably do know your story, but we'll get into that in a minute. I know I mean, I do sessions with people all the time. It's not always mediumship, and people come to me for help too. And I find even myself, I've never experienced anything like what you've been through, but in the past, I've been in abusive relationships when I was younger. And I think, at least with me and many people I talk to, I'm trying to go to what you said about being in the family. When you're in something like that, I don't even think, like, you realize something's wrong. I think you're, from at least from my experience, you don't realize the capacity or of what is happening till after, where you're like, when you're telling somebody, or when you're, you know what I mean? At least with me, I found like when I started telling people stuff, it's like, oh my God, like really, that it's like something clicks in. Like, do you get what I'm trying to say? I think a lot of people in abuse don't even, they know they're in something that's not right. But after you get out of it, sometimes it's like, wow, that did that really happen? So I don't even know what the word is for that. Did you find that, well, and I'll get you to tell your story after this question. Did you find after everything that happened, do you still find yourself thinking like that? Like, I can't, like, wow. Like, it's
Um,
kind of like,
I do.
happened.
I'm still trying to unpack it and figure it out. I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, but as soon as my mom left, like I knew from a very young age, like I'd say 5. I knew like I never felt comfortable with my father. It was not, I didn't have a father-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
Um, he wasn't somebody I could go to. He wasn't like I always we were always hyper vigilant, like on guard, like and we had to like perform or do chores and which you thought was normal, but like
By
it was
his love.
you're just told that's normal. Like I
Yeah.
remember saying like, why are you like being so mean or so hard on us? Like, I'm a good kid. And he just told me, you should be appreciated, and you're lucky I'm not an alcoholic beating the shit out of you. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, so, and
Yeah.
because he wasn't hitting us, I
Mhm.
thought, okay, this is normal. And
Yeah.
when I would tell some people some of the stories, like you say, and they'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Like and then they kind of thought it was funny. Like, so it was like, I don't know. Like, I know I told people about incidents that happened and they would just brush it off. Adults would say he's just being a strict parent. And it wasn't until I got out of it and I could look back, I didn't know the term narcissist. I didn't know that abuse could be so many other things instead of somebody hitting you. I
Mental
felt
abuse.
I was mental, financial,
Yeah.
emotional,
Control.
and I realized, okay, that was abusive. And it took me a while to even say that because I thought he's going to come after me because I
Right.
said this, gave him this label, but it is true. And
Yeah.
it's your normal because that's all you know
That's
until
right.
you get out of it. And I thought people need to know. And it was sorry, I'm jumping all over. When I heard
Okay.
one woman share her story and talk about walking on eggshells, being hyper vigilant, I thought, oh my God, that's how we lived. Like, and it was like, I need other people to know if they're living like that, that's not normal
Yeah, it's
and
not.
you deserve better.
So, I mean, I'm gonna get you to tell the story, but I'm glad you're saying that because I think that's what, like, a lot of they don't realize, especially if you're born into it and that's your family, like that's your structure, that's what you're raised in. It is normal. So how would you know any different? So I'm glad, at least in this day and age, more and more stuff is coming out with children and teaching them, right? There's more support than there was when, at least when we were younger, and it's getting more and more. And I wanted to thank you for being, I know you're doing this because of what happened to you, but it takes a lot of courage for some, especially for you, to step out into the light or into the world and tell your story, because there is fear behind it, right? There's fear, and I'm going to get you to tell a story. And you're trying, I love that you're making awareness so this doesn't happen to as many families or children that don't have a voice. So I want I want you to tell your story. You tell it as deeply as you want. And I do want people, buy her book. It's really, it tells her story directly. It's written very well. And as I said, the proceeds, part of it is going to Jillian's place to help these kind of women who are in abusive situations. So I know it's a difficult story to tell, but you have told it. And I'm hoping by you telling your story and becoming on my podcast, we're getting it out more. We're going to, anybody who's watching this right now, if you are in a relationship that is abusive, that there is help. And in that, if you don't live in the Niagara region, if you're somewhere else in the world, you are not at fault. And this is not your, I think a lot of people blame themselves and they're also afraid. So reach out to somebody, find, go online. There is help out there. But Kim, what is your story if you're able to tell what you can tell from it? And don't worry about if it gets too emotional.
Okay. So as I've been alluding to, I know now I grew up in an abusive home. My father was abusive, and like definitely with like everything was tied to money. Like you always owed him if he, like it was his house, his rules. He was the breadwinner. Like my mom worked her entire life, but my mom born in the 40s, like so in the 70s, 80s. Women weren't equally paid as men, so she was always reminded of that all the time. That was held over her head. So his house, his rules. If you ever went against him, it was everything from like being dragged out of bed by your hair, being yelled at, told you you were stupid, dumb, like a daily basis. Like that was like everything I heard in every day. I remember one time, like an extreme punishment, when he realized that my mom was trying to get help and with counseling, he turned off the heat, the hydro, the hot water, disconnected the car battery. And we lived like that for a week in March, where he went and got fast food and we had like cold oatmeal to eat. Like you couldn't go against him. And he was also, he never had friends. He was a very angry man. He didn't just control our family. He tried to control the environment around us. Like he sued every neighbor we ever lived beside. I think in total, my mom could count like 25 different places he had tried to sue financially to contrll.
So signs, right? There was signs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I say that when I talk to the police, I'll get to that in a minute. Like it in presentations every year, like that's a sign. If you have a neighbor that's super controlling and calling the police all the time, that's an indication that they're that same way with their family in the home, and that's a concern. But yeah, I thought we could never win against him. There's no way. Like, trust me, my mom wanted to leave, but how was she she didn't want her kids taken away from her. He would definitely do that, even though he didn't care to be a father. So my mom stayed for 47 years. And during the year of 2013, ever since my first son was born, my first child, I only have one son, one daughter. As soon as I became pregnant, like a switch flipped, and I was like, I need to stay away from him. I was very protective of my children. And I think I got the whole time from 97 up till 2013, I got progressively sicker. And it turned out to be ulcerative colitis. But nobody would help me with it, just kept brushing me off, whatever. But I knew, and I got so violently sick in 2013, like I ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks to finally get my diagnosis. I was like, I could have died. I was that ill. And when I got out of the hospital, I thought, that's it. And it was sitting in the hospital room. I thought, you know what? Everything I've tried to find help, and whether it was like probiotics or having mercury fillings removed, I tried everything. I realized it was him.
Yeah.
It was my dealing with him, and everything, the knot in my stomach, the way I felt every time I knew he was around.
Yeah.
So I decided I was going to protect myself. I was not going to revert back and get sick. I was going to get better. So I removed myself from the family. Just a simple email. I thought it was nice. Didn't say anything, didn't blame anybody.
Yeah.
That was September 2013. Thanksgiving, October 2013. My father was at the cottage. My mom announced she was going to leave him. She went to a lawyer. I couldn't believe it. I never told her to leave because I knew how hard it was and I never wanted her to feel guilty.
Yep.
So she hid out of town for a few weeks. We packed everything up that she needed. I wish we took everything because whatever's left behind, he destroys, including photo albums. So I
Wow.
deeply regret that. And I found her an apartment. She was going to struggle financially. Her brother stepped up and said he would help her for the next year because she was being overwhelmed legally by him. As you can imagine,
Yeah.
he wasn't a lawyer, but you basically would consider him one with his experience.
Mm.
And naively, I thought she was away from him. I felt happy for her. Yes, we were on guard, but you'd think I would have known. And I learned this from Jillian's place. The scariest and most dangerous time is when you leave your spouse.
Yeah.
And I should have known that.
How would you know that?
Knowing him.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know.
Yeah. But yeah, and I see so many stories similar to our families that unfold in the community. But yeah, she was on her own for 6 weeks, living in an apartment in St. Catharines. Did a total 180. Like
Yeah.
she was so happy.
Mhm.
I think she never, I can't even imagine 47 years of you just have to accept it.
Yeah.
She felt free, even though she had to deal with him legally. And it was a day where I talked to her every day on the phone, or I went to see her. And the one day I was at work, I was busy. She sent me a message. I'm going to go out. I have an appointment. And she wasn't supposed to go out. So I thought, okay, whatever. I was busy with work, whatever. So I regret that too. And next thing I know, I was sitting on the couch. It was like 4:30 in the afternoon that day. It was January 16th. And my father showed up at the door. And my friend showed up at my house in
Okay.
Thorold where we lived. And my husband she wasn't supposed to be home that day. He was sick with gallbladder attacks. My husband answered the door and my father just comes in yelling, um, this is all your fault. You made me do this. You conspired with her to do this to me. I had no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah.
He blamed me for their separation. He was just really angry. And I was triggered. I knew I told him to fuck off. That was my first time in my life I ever said that. I told him to fuck off and go home. And I went into another room with my daughter, who was 11 at the time. She followed me in there. And next thing I know, my husband was walking by, escorting my father out of the house, saying, "Call 911. I think your dad just killed your mom." And I swear I was on autopilot. That's how I deal with everything of difficulty in my life. And I'm like, that can't be real. Like, how did he find her? That's not possible. I call the police. I'm on the phone. She told me to stay on the phone, and it felt like forever. But they were putting together a SWAT team nearby, and this SWAT team just ascends on my home with dogs and flashlights and police officers, and they arrested him, took us to the police station. But yeah, it was later that evening I found out he had been waiting outside her apartment all afternoon in a car that he borrowed from a person he was supposedly dating. And he ambushed her and stabbed her 18 times in the parking lot and stood over her and watched her as she was dying before he got in the car and sped away, switched cars, and then came to my home to blame me. And my life just turned upside down. Like this, I wanted no stress and I wanted to get better. And this was the most stressful thing I had ever dealt with. It was unbelievable.
I don't
And
think anybody could, like, it's a world of people go through trauma, but there's nothing, I think, I think you putting your voice out there probably doesn't even help. Like, you can't even comprehend what you've been through. Your story tells it, but I mean, it's something
Yeah,
you're kind of like, is this for real? Is this really happening? And it is happening. It
yeah.
happens, right, in the world.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And then I know I have such empathy when I read other stories that I know are unfolding like ours, but it's like you really don't have time to grieve.
Yeah.
Because you have the funeral and then you have the police investigation, and we had this fear, like, what if he gets out? Like, what if
Yeah.
he wins in court, and what am I going to do? Like, that was like continuous fear. And and the police would tell me, you don't need to go to every court date. I'm like, oh, I'm going to every court date. I'm there for my mom, for
Yeah.
myself. I'm going to stare him down.
Yeah.
He's going to know I'm there. I went to so my life was just trying to and wrap up the estate, which I couldn't do without his approval. So
Wow.
another big thing, my
That is,
mom was on her list, but if you don't change your will, he was the beneficiary of everything
but even
until
though
he's sent to jail.
because he wasn't charged yet, or is that what, I mean, he
Oh,
wasn't found
he
guilty
was
yet? Is that what,
charged, and until you're found guilty,
guilty? Yeah.
um, he's entitled to everything.
That is insane.
Yes. So he had a say in everything, whether it was like how much the car was going to sell for, how much, and of course the man can't remember that he did this event. I think he's admitted it once in court, but he knew how much change was in his car and what I was going to do with that 775 that was
And
in
that's
his
what he
cup
was concerned
holder.
about. He was concerned
Yes.
about the money.
Yeah. Yeah. He wanted the estate to pay for the bills at the house that she left from. Like, he never changed. He had never had remorse. I still felt controlled by him with the court system, and I couldn't talk about the case because there was a
Yeah.
publication ban. So it just felt like this continuous hold that he
Yeah.
had on me until he was sentenced and sent away for life in prison, which also isn't really life in prison that I've learned. I had to learn a lot about the court system that I didn't care to know. And yeah, he was sentenced to 18 years, which is coming up in a couple years, when he can apply for parole.
That's
So
life in prison. Life in prison is 18 years.
well, the maximum is 25 years. The judge gave him 18. So even at 25 years, once you hit the 25 years, or it's a little less, for other reasons that, to do with the justice system, but then you can apply for day parole, which is crazy. Like, I think life in prison, like, should be
Life in
your
prison.
entire life in prison,
Yeah.
especially for certain crimes that are committed.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
So that was disheartening. Um, they moved him from medium to maximum in prison within 2 years because they saw him as an old, feeble man, which he's very good at, acting,
Manipulating.
manipulating. Malingering's another word I use. He's very good at malingering the court system and people around him, believing that he's fragile and ill. And yeah, my mom has been my motivation for everything that I do, for getting out of bed, for doing things like to wrap up the estate, was for her to put that behind us all. Um, and then I started to heal and try to figure out who I was, because I spent my whole life silent.
Yeah.
Like, for me, sitting here talking to you today, or talking to anybody really, I never spoke. I was the kid in the classroom hiding in the back. I didn't want to I would never put my hand up. I didn't want to be asked anything because I didn't want to look stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I never spoke up. I was a people pleaser. That's just how I navigated my home life.
Yeah.
As soon as this happened, and I think the first time I ever spoke was my victim impact statement in court. And again, I learned with that, you can only talk about the incident. I couldn't talk about anything in the past, which totally blew me away. I could just
Why?
talk about that because the case is only about that. So
Oh,
they said I couldn't say what I had written the night before court and I had to rewrite it. I tried to sneak in what I could, alluding to past abuse. And speaking in front of that packed courtroom, which was most of my mom's church congregation and family and friends, I was not nervous. My heart was not pounding. That was my most empowered moment of speaking in court directly at him, telling him what he had done, this terrible thing he had done. And
your voice.
it was
Yeah.
and that moment transpired into the lawyer from Jillian's place was in the courtroom that day supporting us. And she then referred me to Niagara Regional Police, who do presentations every year, or they learn about domestic violence and signs to watch for.
Yeah.
They asked me to speak at their training session. And I thought, how am I going to sit in front of a room of officers when they deal with like horrific things every day?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell them about, turning off the hydro and calling me stupid. I'm thinking, but I thought, no, I was given this opportunity, so I made myself do it.
Well,
And
you spent your whole life being told probably that you're stupid, right? Or
yeah,
that you shut up, you don't have a
yeah,
voice. So of course you're going to feel that way,
yeah. And I
right? And
thought,
then
how
it's
am I going to
authority.
tell people?
The cops
And
are authority, right? So I'm sure, did that make you afraid? Were you afraid because they were cops, the authority thing, or did it make you feel more comforted?
I actually, during the whole investigation, the murder investigation, they got him. Like the fact that they knew who he was and how
Yeah,
he was so comforting. I'm like, oh, thank goodness. He's not going to
good.
fool them. He's not going to get off for not criminally responsible.
Right.
That was comforting.
Good.
So when they wanted to hear from me, I thought, okay, I'm going to tell them everything it was like growing up, and also tell them how the services that were available to us, like victim services, Niagara Regional Police, how all these places in the community and Jillian's place helped supported us. And I've been doing that for 15 years now. And that just kind of snowballed into other times when I get to speak, share my mom's story or our story in newspaper articles. And I thought, this is what I need to do. I need people to hear our story so maybe they recognize something in their life and realize this is not normal. You
Yeah,
deserve better.
right.
And there is help to stand up to these people, and it's not easy. I know that.
Yeah. So if someone who's watching this, um, what would be, because I think what's happened sometime is, like you said, some people don't even realize they're in abuse, right?
Mhm.
Because like you said, mental abuse is abuse, right? So some people I don't think realize, or they get into a partnership, or it doesn't even have to be marriage, that they don't think that, like some people think of it as like the guy's in charge, or like they don't see it. I don't know how, I can't voice it. Anyways, what are some of the signs that you could say right now for people who are watching? What would be a sign if a woman's watching right now? What would be something that you would look for where there's abuse?
It's definitely if the person in your life is like they're controlling about like how you look and what you do, and you have to say the right, you can't embarrass them in public, like all hell will break loose if that happens. Financial abuse is huge, and I've just recently learned that that is abuse, and he controlled everything. Like if she got a raise on her paycheck, she had to pay him that for house, a new roof or a new whatever. He took your money. Even as kids, he took our money. Like I remember I get like vacation pay, and he would know that, and he would take my car in, which I bought from him, and he would take it in and have everything overhauled on it. Like it didn't need everything, but all my money left. He just controlled everything. He would fine us if we did something wrong.
You got fined?
Fined.
Fined. Like
To give him
monetary fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He thrived on money. Also, if they like calling you names, if you aren't able to, like, I didn't have any choices, like, and neither did my mom. We were told like everything from who to vote for, or what, he controlled what we ate or what we were allowed to eat in the house.
What were you allowed to eat?
It was just he always acted like we had no money, even though we had money. He would just every day of my life, and I'm triggered by cabbage rolls and stuffed green peppers. Like that was like every day all winter because he made massive amounts of it. He would go to dented can sales, and we were always eating like past expired food because it was cheap.
Yeah.
And you were
Sure.
told you had to sit there and you could not leave the table until
Yeah.
you were finished eating, or it's there for you for breakfast.
Yeah.
Which again, it sounds like just a parental
Yeah.
thing, and they're like, oh, that's just a strict parent. But when you add it all together, of
My parents used to do that.
yeah, and it's I don't know. I everything I had to do as a child, I do opposite with my kids. Like you should have free choice, and maybe, like not, hey, do whatever you want, but no, it was beyond controlling of what you wore. He would make snide remarks about what my friends looked like, which I thought he was just, I saw him as a creepy
Yeah.
man. And
So
I
that
was
must have been
also
hard.
terrified.
That must
Mhm.
have been hard. It must still be, I don't know if it's still hard now, but that's your dad, right? So
Oh,
uh, being raised in something that this is your father, this is someone that you're supposed to look up to, or someone who's supposed to teach you values, or someone who's supposed to bring safety. Like I know in my own life, my dad did bring me safety, right? Like that's the foundation of what I was raised in, was the safety of my dad. So going forward past this, I know you're married and I know you're in a good partnership. And I thought about that this morning. It made me really happy. Like just brought so much joy into my heart because like I said, I do a lot of sessions with people who it like repeats a cycle, right? So they go into abusive relationships. And this morning I just had this reflection that I'm so happy for you that you broke that cycle. I don't think you realized you did it when you were doing it, but you did. And you found a partner that is loving and caring and who's supporting you through everything. Because I've seen him he's with you,
yeah.
supporting you, and your family supporting you. So I know you probably don't think it's a big deal, but it's a huge deal that you broke the cycle for
Yeah,
your
I
children.
read things about breaking like generational curses or whatever. It does boggle my mind that people fall into the same
Yeah,
thing. Where I was so adamant I was going to be the exact opposite, be nothing like him. Of course, I wanted to do everything to make my mom proud, whatever. But my family is absolutely my happy place, my safe place. I've never had the screaming and yelling. I never had any difficulty with my kids. Like, I'm just so thankful for that because I don't know that I could have handled that if that
yeah.
was something that I had to go into.
Your nervous system,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, what have you done? Because I know that with trauma, what I've learned is it doesn't go away, but you can heal through it, right? So the trauma will be there, and the body does remember, right? Certain things I'm sure you've experienced over the years. What are some things that you have done, and maybe you can tell the listeners to help yourself past the trauma, what you've done to try to help yourself? You said you were sick. Like, what have you done to help yourself get through this? Because this is a huge thing. This is what you went through is pretty big.
When I realized that there was a mind body connection, like that everything I was thinking or feeling triggered, like I felt it in my gut, and that's where my illness was created, or will always be there. But yeah, again, it was autopilot. As soon as my mom passed, I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to need some help with anxiety. So I did get some medication for that. And then I went to hot yoga. I don't know why. I wasn't in any
Love it.
classes, and I just needed that. It kind of distracted my brain, like the
Yeah.
heat, trying to do that. It was low key, it wasn't hard. It was relaxing. And that was my first thing. And every step I did after that just kind of followed. Like I learned about meditation,
Hmm.
which I enjoy. I like guided meditations, and I
Yeah.
can totally relax and focus on the words being spoken. I learned about somatic therapy,
Yeah.
which I did a little bit of, but I didn't have enough coverage to continue that, regretfully. But I learned a little bit. I learned a little bit from everything I did that just led me to find things that were comforting to me, and I learned to no longer like to stand up for myself.
Yeah.
I learned to use my voice and not, I was a lot, I had to change who I was, really. I had to figure out who I was, and that was going to help my healing journey. Sharing my story, even though I know people think, oh my goodness, but I thought, well, my mom dealt with the worst of it. Me
Yeah.
sharing it is a minimal hardship considering what everything she had to deal with, but her story can't go untold. It needs to help other people. And I feel like I'm standing up to him every
Yeah.
time I share my story, which is so healing for me.
Hmm.
I'm also that type of person, and I would just grab and try to do everything. So when I put everything in the book, I thought I want to save people. Like, not that everything works the same for everybody, but like try meditation or try yoga or try sound therapy or things that are calming to your body, um, let you escape mentally. Like I wanted to save people all those steps of searching and
Yeah.
hoping maybe it would help somebody else. And therapy. And I will say, okay, I'm kind of all over the
It's
place, but
okay. You
your
could be
your
all over the
gift
place. It's
your
real,
gift
right?
with being a medium, and we have a mutual friend, Paula. That was my first piece of healing I needed because it was Paula that connected me to my mom.
Yeah.
I needed to know she was okay.
Yeah.
And I was the biggest skeptic before that. But I thought, no, there must be somehow, there must be. And I'm like, that was the greatest relief of like, oh my goodness, she's okay. She didn't blame me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I carried a lot of blame. If I hadn't done what I did and just shut up and stayed, would she still be here? But I've learned a lot that that was her story to
Yes.
lessons in life to learn.
Her journey.
And this is part of mine. And do I want my mom back? 1,000%.
Yeah.
But everything that happened has now given me this opportunity and my voice to try and help others because I don't want them to go through what we did.
And it's her, unfortunately, her passing and the way it happened is giving voice to victims.
Yeah.
She is giving voice. You're giving voice, and your book is giving voice. And by you telling the story, is giving voice to victims of the past and the present and the future. And it takes a lot of courage. I don't think people realize how much courage it takes to do what you're doing. I know you just do it, but it does take a lot of courage to stand
Well,
in front of people and speak and speak truth. Because when you speak it, you're still kind of experiencing it again, right? Like
yes. Yeah.
it's like people when you go to therapy, sometimes they talk about pretend it's on the wall, you're not a, or pretend it's the past, but I mean, it's emotional.
Yes.
So I find it interesting, and because this is what I'm all about, is the body does remember, right? So I think it's really neat, even though I know you didn't plan to do it this way, but a lot of the stuff that you did to help yourself was to do with the body.
Yeah.
Like the somatics, the sound, because we are frequency, and when you're like sounds heals the frequency of our body, right? It's just really
Yeah.
neat that you just followed that without knowing, like you just did it.
I know. It was, yeah, how every step just led me to the next thing for me to learn that resonated with me that I really like attached to and really enjoyed. So, and I've just been introduced to Reiki, and I know you
Yeah.
were talking Reiki in your other first podcast, and I'm just being introduced to that. And I think that's the next thing I'm gonna try to learn more about or have sessions for myself because I think that's very healing as well.
It really helped me. I mean,
Okay.
I haven't, I mean, it helped me a lot. And it just helps shift energy in your body. That's all it does. It just helps shifts because the trauma is stored in your body, right?
Yeah.
So it helps shift it out. That's cool. What else? How about, I want to know about, I know I read about it, but I love like, your book. I love like the cover. I love the pearls. Like, I just love it. That's why probably today I wanted to wear my glasses. Like, I just feel like there's like
Yeah.
this sense of grace and like, just your voice, you know what I mean? I feel so empowered when I sit with you. I know you don't realize that because you've come to me for sessions, but I
Yeah.
feel empowered just in your energy, just to speak my voice, right? And I know it's through your mom. So can
Yeah.
you tell people about the pearls? Like, what is the pearls? What is the champagne? What does that mean to you and how connection to your mom in your book?
Yeah, people had told me like finding my voice, that was like out of my comfort zone. And people would say, oh my goodness, like when I tell them everything, you should write a book. And I'm like, I don't write a book, like
Oh,
that's
no.
crazy. So I always just brush that off. And then it was just within the last year, I thought, okay, maybe I will, because I thought I want to honor my mom. I want to tell the story. I want people to know what I have found if it helps them. And there's a lot of little things my mom left behind. For my mom always had, she was that person that had the perfect words for the difficult moment, or the perfect poem. And she had all these poems kept. And there was this whole poem she had. Actually, I just found the original yesterday. I thought, pearls. Okay, I remember this, her giving me this, or giving me a set of pearls, and when you think about it, how the pearl is transformed. The pearl isn't just born that way. It's like the irritation and the oyster and the difficult. So that's like life's difficulties,
Yeah.
how you can come through them. And they're all lessons that we learn in life that hopefully bring us to a better place, or to help others, or to shine the light like your podcast is. And I thought, that's it. That's what the title's gonna be. And that kind of framed the whole book for me, how I could um, bring tell people a little bit about my mom, of
Yeah.
this is what she brought to me and left for me. And I swear it was, yeah, I know it's not my gut instinct. I know now it's my intuition,
Yeah.
and my mom giving me signs. And I know that it just popped in my head one day. I went and grabbed it, and that was it. That was the title of the book.
I love
So
it so much because it has a class, and I'm not saying to everybody that we have to be classy and we have to like, you know what I mean? But it just has this class of elegance and considering everything she went through, like through the life, like that she still had this grace and this class about her. And from what I read is she still wanted to help people. She still had somehow this voice of being like beat down for so long, like 47 years. I'm 48. That's almost my whole life.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
long time, and I've been through a lot in this long time. So I can't even like my mind when I try to think about it is just like, wow, right? But
yeah.
this happens to so many people. But I just love it. Anyways, I see your posts, and I love the class and the grace about it, and what it portrays to the world, right? Like you can still
Love
have
those
your
words.
dignity.
Class and grace is that's my mom. I love that you say that.
Well, that's what I feel. I'm trying not to
Oh,
channel
I know, it's
her.
very strong.
I feel
Yeah,
it. And I feel like just in your presence, just this class and this grace, right? Like, I
yeah.
just love
She
it.
really the face she put on for, like, really, that she had every reason to never leave the house, whatever. She really, I guess she had to learn to compartmentalize. I can't say that word right.
That's
Um,
okay.
her life, and she was this professional, well dressed, elegant woman. She was so helpful to other people. She even helped somebody in her life escape an abusive relationship. And I'm like, okay. And I do know she had to cut ties with that friend soon after that,
Yeah.
um, because he didn't want her getting any ideas. But
Yeah.
no, she was remarkable, and she still had such a strong faith, and was at church every Sunday, part of the worship committee. Like, her strength is like my motivation, and making her proud has been, because that's what I miss terribly. She was the person in my life who loved me the most, and I was proud with anything I did. And I so miss that, but I know she's proud. And I know everything I'm doing now, I'm actually making myself proud,
Yeah.
which is something I didn't expect that would happen for me.
Yeah, you're kind of through the trauma and through all the pain, you have found your voice, like you said, with the police and everything, and when you did the statement and stuff. But I think with some people, we don't realize we don't even have it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's such an empowering thing, right? To be able to speak truth. And at least I find sometimes speaking the truth, just being honest about stuff, just speaking the truth about something, even if it's hard to hear or say,
yeah,
it makes you feel better. It's like something lifts off your heart. Did you feel that way? Like the pain lifting when you spoke the truth? When you speak
absolutely.
it? Yeah.
I just feel and know that's what I need to do, and that's what I um, maybe enjoy is not the right word, but it is because I feel like if I can give somebody else that permission to call a hotline for help or get some advice or tell a friend what they're
Yeah.
going through, because my mom's family, her brothers and sisters, nobody knew.
Yeah.
Like she didn't tell, and you couldn't tell anybody because if he found out, like you can only imagine what would happen. So I'm sure he would have, if she ever tried to leave earlier, she knew that her life was in danger or he would harm us. So she really is remarkable for everything that she dealt with. And I'm so touched hearing you say grace and elegance and whatever, so that I've achieved that. I wanted my mom not to be known just as a victim for
Yeah.
people that hear the story, that you do feel my mom or see my
Mhm.
mom through some things that I wrote. So I really like that.
I do feel her, and I feel her as a person, and I feel like, and that maybe it's, I don't even think it's because of who I am. I don't think it's because I channel spirit. Reading the book made me feel her, and the way
Um,
you wrote it made me feel that just she was a person. And I think a lot of people, victims get not stuck, but they lose their identity a little bit. Like you become this identity of a victim, and then there's still the person behind it, right? So going forward from that, do you have more events coming up? Like I know you did your book release a little while ago. Where can people find your book? And because remember, everybody, the story is very, you need to read it. It opens your eyes. I mean, to some people not, but it will open your eyes. I feel like sometimes we do live in bubbles, right? Of things are happening in the world, but it's not happening to me kind of situation. Reading the book could bring awareness to you, someone just to know maybe there's a friend that's being in abuse where you're like, okay, there's like some signs here. This looks the same, right? It brings awareness. So where can people find your book? And do you have more events coming up about this? You said November is what's it called? The a victim like abuse.
Women Abuse Prevention Month is for the
Yeah.
month of November. So with Jillian's Place, they're actually holding a candlelight vigil on December 4th to remember victims of domestic violence and survivors of domestic violence. So they've actually invited me to read a few pages of my book at that event. So I'm really honored for that. Um,
Great.
and yeah, the book's been out a couple months and I had no idea what I'm doing. So it started
Okay.
started off on Amazon and I just got some help and I got it launched. It's in on Barnes and Noble, Ingram Spark for bookstores or libraries to pick up. Um, Apple Books, Google Books. Yeah, it's just starting to get out there on a few different platforms.
Is it
So
audible? Like, has that happened? Well, I just sense it being audible. So I'm asking.
Yeah, no, somebody had just approached me
Yeah.
and said I should be doing that. So I'm going to work on that next because I'm an Audible. Actually, I don't really read books, so it's kind of funny. I wrote one,
Yeah.
but I love Audible books. I like where I can just lay down and listen to
Yeah.
it, or be in the car and I can listen to words. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that.
I see it. That's why. Is it going to
Okay,
be your
yeah.
voice? I feel like it might be your voice. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just navigating all this. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I'm actually, yeah, so I did a local book launch and I'm trying to do like in person, like at bookstores when they have local authors, but I'm just kind of putting it out there, and whoever approaches me, or if I get opportunities to speak or share, that's what I hope I get. And like you said, a portion of the sales, I'm going to do it by give back in my mom's honor or memory to Jillian's place to help other families and other people be survivors. So yeah, it feels really good, but it feels kind of scary I did this, but I'm just like the feedback or the reviews I've been getting, I've been more than I could have ever expected, and so heartwarming. So I'm really happy.
That's good. So
Um,
going forward too, if anybody out there watching, because I will be posting this in the month of November, any shelters or anything, anywhere any of you can support would be amazing. It doesn't have to be Jillian's place. You may not live in the area of that. You can make donations. So maybe go on to your local sites and find out where you can donate and help. And like you can donate stuff too, right? You can donate.
oh, yeah, usually they have a list of items that they need. Like Jillian's place does post one every month. But yeah, from what I've learned, like most women's shelters, they're only like partially funded from the government. Everything else is done through fundraising. So they have to raise and get donations and whatever they can to help everybody. And the need is sadly increasing every year. I don't know if that's awareness and people finally are reaching out for help, which is
Yeah.
great, but they actually have to turn people away from staying at the shelter, which is heartbreaking. But the 24/7 hotline, like I think all shelters would have that available where you can call and ask for advice, or
I didn't know that.
you can go on, when you go on their websites, there's usually a hide button or something. I'm not a techie person, but you can hide and not have it known that you searched that.
Yeah.
Because that's a scary thing to
Right.
do if you're in the home as well. So yeah, no, they're so helpful and they get it. I think that's the biggest thing. Like you don't have to hope that they're going to understand your situation or something you think that's minor. They're going to go, no, that is abuse and you don't deserve that. And yeah, it takes a while and it takes some planning, but you can live a life free of abuse and violence. And this is a solvable problem. And I hope that this is something we shouldn't have in our society, but
Yeah, I agree. It is. It's been going on forever, right? For thousands of years. And
the more you shine light on it, the
yeah,
more people are aware, and because it thrives in darkness, in
yes,
that control.
yeah.
So even if you tell one person and they're aware of it, and the more like that's, I'm going to talk about it
Ripple
forever.
effect. The ripple
Yeah,
effect,
yeah.
right? So we're coming near the end, and if for people who are watching out there, because it could be got everybody watching, like with anybody, right? Like even guys,
Yeah.
what would you want to say to them? What would you, if your mom was still alive and she was able to watch this podcast, or any woman or man in an abusive situation, what would you say to them right now? What would you be your advice?
I think the first step would be contacting like the 24/7 line to talk to a counselor, or because they will validate your feelings for you, and that you are worthy because you are beaten down and told you're worthless and you created this, and none of that's true. But you to speak to somebody who knows what it's like and knows what you're living through and get their advice of your next steps or what you should be doing, whether it's, quietly documenting things like giving that stuff to a friend, or yeah, I think for me, if I could have, the talking to a counselor there, because you can go to your own counselor, and I'm not saying that's not the right thing to do, but not everybody has the knowledge of domestic abuse
Yeah.
than the counselors do at the shelters. And I think that was something my mom really struggled with. It would be like, okay, well, let's bring in your husband now. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
that can't happen. This is like private and whatever. And Yeah, there's lots of help in your communities of different counselors available. Documenting is also very key. I'm just gonna say, to have something, because the police is a whole nother thing that we're dealing with where you have to, but they're also becoming more aware too of
Yeah.
situations of what to look for, and they have specialized units that will go to a home that they think, like, people are there ready to help, and there's a lot more understanding. So whether it's you need to speak up, whether it's quietly to a confidentially to a close friend, to a coworker, so
Mhm.
somebody else can validate if something, God forbid, ever happens. But I think the counseling or talking to a counselor is your first step to validate your feelings and know what you should do for your next steps. And they give the best, safest advice for you to navigate that.
Okay, so anybody who's listening, it could be any type of abuse. We're just talking about domestic abuse right now, but any type of abuse. Me as a person, I want people to know that you are not alone, that your voice is worthy to be heard. There's people out there who are there to help you, and you deserve the help. You deserve to be loved, and you deserve to feel better. And I know you're afraid, but sometimes I'm hoping by watching this podcast that you will take that step to get the help, to reach out to somebody. So I'm going to come to the end. I want to say again, Kim, thank you so much for coming on. I know it takes a lot to speak about it. I know I repeat a lot because I feel so deeply. I know it takes a lot, especially probably the fear you feel sometimes about speaking about it. I'm very grateful for you coming on. I'm grateful as a human being. I'm grateful for you telling the story and trying to help other people. And it just like touched my heart so much.